Amari Cooper has a new nickname for number 4, Deshaun Watson. It's the Magician. Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here on the Browns Report, breaking down the latest news and rumors coming out of Berea and training camp. And a pretty fun nickname right there, right? Amari Cooper saying Watson just makes plays out of thin air sometimes, and that's why he's going to call him the Magician. And that feels like a pretty fitting nickname for a guy like Deshaun Watson, who has the ability to take nothing and make something out of it. So if you like the nickname The Magician, make sure to hit the thumbs up icon. Let's show Coop number 2 and Watson number 4 that we are supporting this new front and new look Cleveland Browns team by liking today's video. Speaking of today's video, we're going to be getting into the latest news and rumors coming out of Berea. And as always, we like to use our Bernie heads. Thanks to the legend number 19, Bernie Kosar. We have 0 to 4 Bernie heads. 0 Bernie heads is fake news. This story has no truth to it whatsoever. Or 4 Bernie heads. Believe it. This absolutely is happening. You can count on it. And we've got 1, 2, 3 in between. So the first story on today's show, Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson. Are they splitting first team reps? Yeah, 4 Bernie heads. This is a absolute right here from me. Kevin Stefanski said it himself, and it makes a lot of sense. Because sure, you like to live, maybe I wouldn't say in fantasy land of Deshaun Watson's going to be our quarterback week 1, but no one can say that definitively. So why not give Jacoby Brissett some runs with the first team? That's what Stefanski noted when he talked to the media after day 2 of training camp, saying that they would split some first-team reps, and that goes back to OTAs and minicamp. And this is not abnormal for just the Browns. You see this a lot for a lot of teams. Like to give players different looks at different spots in the depth chart, especially when it's clear-cut and dry who the real starter is. Now, training camp opened up on July 27th, so a few days into it already, and it's fun to see the Browns return to Cleveland, right, and get real football underway. Even though the pads haven't come out yet, the pads will come out, I believe, on Tuesday for the first time. Under the new CBA agreement, you only get 1 padded practice every 5, if memory serves me correct here. But Brissett, he was getting a lot of praise. Like, he was getting petted on a lot from his coaches and his teammates. In fact, here's what the boss, Kevin Stefanski, said about splitting reps. I would not get into the exact percentage, but they are both going to get a ton of reps. Really, they both get a ton of reps in the spring. I think that was the benefit of the offseason program, was getting Deshaun a ton of reps and getting Jacoby a ton of reps. That does not change. Now, it's always fun when you get to hear from the coach or the GM, but you often just get coach or GM talk. So you got to read through the lines a little bit and translate it into English. But here's how I look at this. It is way easier for the Browns to plan for Jacoby Brissett to start week 1, and then if they get good news from Sue Robinson, you easily pivot, and it's Deshaun Watson, right? It's a lot more difficult to go, we're going to give Watson all the first team reps, get the news you don't want to hear from Sue, and then toss Jacoby in there after a couple weeks. No, Watson's a lot easier to accommodate and have him step in after Brissett maybe getting some reps, or what Stefanski's doing, just splitting them across the board. But speaking of week 1 here, whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Deshaun Watson, do you believe the Browns will win week 1 no matter who the quarterback is? I wouldn't go all the way to say they can win with Josh Dobbs or Josh Rosen. I'm not going to put that out in the universe. I will not put that evil out there, Ricky Bobby. But I do believe that if it's Brissett for Watson, the Browns are still going to come out on top. But I'm curious what you think. Y for yes or N for no. Next story on today's show is the Browns rookie corner Martin Emerson going to be starting week 1. I'm giving just 1 Bernie head. I don't think it's absolutely fake news because he showed a lot of great tape coming out of Starkville, Mississippi, but I think it's a lot to ask for him to dethrone Greedy Williams as that CB3, kind of CB2 if you don't count the slot corner as CB2. Now, Dog Pound Daily picked Emerson as a possible week 1 starter, and we'll look at some of the intangibles Emerson has, but he's entering camp with a bit of a battle, right, with Greedy Williams, plus you got players like Herb Miller, A.J. Green that are still very much in the mix here, trying to put themselves higher up on the depth chart and make this 53-man roster. Now, Newsome is going to be the slot corner most likely. That's where he's getting a lion's share of reps so far, going back to OTA's minicamp and now into training camp. But when we look at this depth chart here, I think you got CB1, of course, Denzel Ward, CB2, Greedy Williams, depending on how you want to call it. And then it's got this battle for Martin Emerson, Herb Miller, A.J. Green. I'm not putting much money on Herb Miller. A.J. Green, I thought, had a lot of good flashes last preseason, but that tends to happen in preseason when you're going up against other teams' backups here. Now, when you just look at Martin Emerson's stats when he was with the Bulldogs at Mississippi State, you don't walk away super happy with this pick by Andrew Berry. But when you look at something that's very important to corners, which is a great balance of size and speed, that is where GMs get excited about Martin Emerson, right? That is where all of a sudden Boy Scouts could be camping under those tents, because even if he just had one interception down in Mississippi, a 6'2" corner who's got great speed and lengthy arms, they do not grow on trees. So that would be Martin Emerson's best path to finding a way to start. We'll kind of put a bow on that in just a second. But we're in a sub-battle right now with our Steelers channel here at Chat Sports. So if you're like me and you hate the Pittsburgh Steelers and you love the Cleveland Browns, make sure you subscribe today so we can catch up to them in subscribers. Take over, get more Browns content, more Browns studio time, and less Steelers studio time out there, because that's how it works here at Chat Sports. To kind of really wrap up Martin Emerson, yeah, I think it's going to be Greedy Williams. That's where my money's on right now. But story number 3, will the PUP list, will the guys on it be ready by week 1? Stefanski talked about this, and I give it 2 Bernie heads. Kind of in the middle. I don't think it's what Stefanski said, which is point blank, yes, they will be ready. Well, it's not even August yet, and we're talking about something in September. So I don't think it's an absolute easy way to say a definitive, but there's plenty of time for, of course, Denzel Ward, Jack Conklin, and David Bell to get ready. I'm not worried about Ward at all. I think if Denzel Ward was a rookie, he'd probably actually be out there practicing right now. But he just got paid $100 million. They're not going to push it, right? They're going to say, you can take it slow. It's still July, for crying out loud. We don't need you out there right now. Stefanski said everyone on the PUP list and the non-football injury list, which includes Anthony Walker and Sheldon Day, should be ready to go by week 1. When he was asked, he said, yes. That's Stefanski for you. Now, here's what the PUP list looks like right now. You've got David Bell, who might be dealing with a stretch fracture. That's what, and we'll look at a quote in a second here. That's what Mary Kay reported. Denzel Ward is recovering from a foot injury he sustained at the end of minicamp. That, I got to be honest, I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say concerned, but uneasy that it followed him this long and it's lingered. I thought over the months of like June and July, it would sort of just go up in thin air like all injuries do in the offseason. Now, Jack Conklin's a whole separate case because he's coming off a torn patella surgery back in November, December. If he's ready by week 1, I'll be pleasantly surprised. That's not an easy injury to bounce back from. So that one would be a pleasant surprise to see Conklin out there. But here's what Stefanski said about David Bell. Late in the offseason program, I do not know the exact date. It may have been in that mini camp. Had something nagging and took a look at it, but we will be okay. I think Stefanski's probably downplaying this injury a little bit just based off the verbiage and what he's saying right there, right? Should be okay. Doesn't really want to get into details or specifics about it. Now, with Anthony Schwartz getting hurt, and we'll talk about him in a little bit too, will be interesting to see if Andrew Berry decides, yeah, let's actually address this wide receiver room. And maybe by the time you're watching this, it has been addressed here. But what's your concern level over the injuries? Because on the last Browns report, when we talked about the Denzel Ward injury in a little bit more detail, a lot of people were upset that for a guy that's never played a full season, he got paid top dollar, and here are the injuries again. And I can't say you're wrong, because you're not wrong. He has not played a full season. Last year he played in 15 games, a sprinkle of 12 and 13 games to start his career. So I would be lying if I said I was at a 1 here, but I'm not over a 5. Put me in like a 3.7. All right, next story on the show. Is there a different atmosphere this year? Yeah, 4 Bernie heads. All right, John Johnson spoke to the media after day 2 of training camp, and I thought he hit the nail on the head. I mean, we'll look at the quote exactly here, but it was refreshing to see this, right? Here's what Johnson said. It's a lot different. The vibes are way better. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like everyone feels that same vibe. We got a lot of the same guys back. That continuity is huge, especially on defense. It's fun. We're enjoying it. I can't wait to get out there on the field. Now, I will add this. This happens every single camp for all 32 NFL teams. Has there ever been a training camp in the history of football when people came out and they're like, yeah, we suck. This is not a good team, guys. This is a bad roster. You should not watch this team come to fall. We actually got worse. No one's ever done that, right? They always come and just gas each other up, and then you get drunk on it, and like fantasy football rolls around, and I'm here like thinking, Michael Woods, I'm going to draft him in round 2 because he had a great preseason touchdown. And when you got to like go back to reality a little bit and go, let's pump the brakes here. But there is something, I really do believe, there is something to a lot of leaders on this team talking about the difference from last year to this year. And we all know where it starts the football team. I won't say it. Starts with 2 letters. One of them is a little more of an obscure letter. You guys can figure out the rest in a moment. Now, before we get to the rest of the stories on today's docket, if you are looking for more free Browns news, rumors, and videos, well, follow us over on Rumble. Rumble.com/Browns Report. It's uncensored. It's a little bit more edgy than YouTube, so if that's more your thing, check them out. We've got content going on over there. Final quick news and rumor story of the show. Are the Browns getting new helmets? Fake news. I woke up to a Slack at 6:15 in the morning yesterday from my boss, James Yoder, with a picture of this ugly, godforsaken helmet and was like, are these the new Browns helmets? And I had to go, no. Do not get got by the internet. This is fake news. Someone's having fun by putting a helmet on a helmet. Wow. You are hilarious. No one's ever thought of that before. Really, really good here. There have been some good helmets that come out, like the alternate helmets. No lie, the Bengals are dirty. The Bengals, the Panthers, and the Cardinals, I think, had the best alternate helmets. The Bears took the Browns helmets. They looked around the league and they're like, we like that. We're going to take that helmet. Now, you may have seen this story kind of wrap up the news and rumors of today's show. Anthony Schwartz left day 2 of training camp with a knee injury, kind of stretched it out, and then got walked off the field, didn't return. The extent of the injury is unknown as we film this right now, so if you're watching this later, you might have an update on it, but if not, something to monitor. It's a bummer to see because Anthony Schwartz is a player who, myself included, a decent amount of, I would say, doubt out there, or maybe not overly confident that he's going to be the track star 3rd-round pick out of Auburn he was last season. So he's definitely got to have a good camp this year and show that he can be more than a bit of a disappointing rookie season. Now, we reached 10,000 subscribers here on the channel 10 days ago, so we have our final reason why the Browns will be AFC North champs, and it is they have the best roster in the division. I really do believe to my core. I mean, just look at this right here. The AFC North, by each position, I dubbed a champion across all 4 teams. Now, you can argue quarterback many different ways, and that's fine, right? We got to wait and see how this really pans out. But I'll say Deshaun Watson for being the NFL passing leader in 2020 and getting a boatload better roster this year is going to show what a great quarterback he is. Running back room, it's Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and there's no conversation. I give wide receivers to the Bengals with Jamar Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. That's a stacked group. Offensive line, it's the Browns. I mean, it really is. Tight end, Mark Andrews carries it for Baltimore. Defensive line, this is going to get some people upset and grumpy with me, but Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, it's just too powerful statistically to argue against. Linebackers, I think Logan Wilson is probably the more underappreciated linebacker in the NFL right now, so I'll give the nod to the Bengals there, but JOK and Anthony Walker could definitely change that middle of the season. Corners, I go Browns again. I mean, come on. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Greedy Williams, Martin Emerson. This is going to be a loaded secondary. Safeties, I'm going to lean towards the Steelers with Edmonds and Fitzpatrick. But still, I mean, Grant Delpit and John Johnson, if the Browns aren't first, they're probably second on this list. That's how loaded they are across the board. Special teams, give it to Harbaugh and Justin Tucker, that motherfucker. But what team is your biggest rival? What team do you hate the most? Is it the Ravens? Is it the Bengals? Or is it the Steelers? You guys know I love to go F Pitt down in the comment section, but let me know which team you despise the most in the North.